That's right. That's right.
You got to take the time. So,
well, listen, this is a special day.
it's a very special day. Remote.
Now, last week we had a live remote at the new store.
Yes.
Right. We're here at the new store again for a very special edition of this podcast.
Yes.
As we look over the prospective guest list, for which there are many, and we've got some very exciting ones coming up.
We do have some very exciting
big
ones coming up.
names.
Big names.
We thought, why not bring in the head honcho, the CEO of Ivey's, president, sales manager, CFO. How would you refer to yourself? Mitch Johnson, by the way, my father.
Mitch Johnson.
What title do you give yourself at the company?
That's a great question because it kind of changes, daily.
Yeah.
So I guess just firefighter.
Yeah.
Firefighter.
Yeah. In my company, I'll call it GCD, get crap done. You know what I'm saying? Every company has to have one.
The GCD.
Now,
I don't know if that would be. Would that be your?
Would that be you?
See, because I see you a lot more as maybe a figurehead. More of a.
Well, I mean, I can.
Yeah.
I can own that too.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you see by just coming in, and my thing is just.
We're starting late because he was walking to the store. He called a customer, and he's trying to sell a generator.
Always be selling.
That's right.
Always be closing.
That's right.
Yeah. Did you sell it?
I think so.
There you go.
I think so.
There
It
you
starts and it ends with customers, right? So,
it does.
So, but anyway, my role is it kind of floats. I think Josh kind of doesn't quite grasp my vision in life right now, as far as, I love the work. I love working with customers, but not all the time.
Yeah.
And he's having a hard time with that.
Yeah.
So,
listen, my feeling is if you're on the payroll, okay, right, we're going to be as efficient and effective with those payroll dollars as possible.
I like it.
And listen, if you're on the payroll, man, I need you moving.
I like it. Hey, would you like to put in a resume at my company?
Are you hiring a GCD?
Yeah, let's do it. So let's talk about. So I don't know all of the ins and outs. So I might ask a lot of questions that the viewers might also have.
That's right. Well, dear viewer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's go back to year 1969. I've seen that like a million times since I've been here. Right. We're looking at a picture of I'm guessing is this still what it similar looks like, or has it changed?
No, it's totally changed.
This is in Mansfield.
Yeah, that was the original location in Mansfield. We
Okay.
actually started in Logansport.
Okay.
And then sold and started focusing on Mansfield.
And so is this picture from 1969, or is this just the store that was there?
That picture there is probably
79.
No, that picture's probably early 70s.
Early
70s.
70s.
Early
Oh, okay.
74.
I'm a huge fan of classic cars, but somebody that really knew them would be able to tell what year that truck was and give you an idea, but I don't know.
So what I've heard stories is that this is where Terry Bradshaw would come in and do a little trading. Is that right?
Well, so this location right here really was difficult to work out of for years. There's a street, if you see the warehouse to your left, there's an actual active street that separated the buildings. So to go load something, you really had to look both ways to get across. So we moved up the street to the location that we're currently
in.
Yeah.
And Napco Parts, is that still around? Is that what that says, Napco?
Paints. No, they've gone by the wayside.
Okay, so. All right. So, Mitch, Ivey is your wife's maiden name.
Yes.
This was her father's business.
Yes.
And he started in 1969.
Yes.
Were you in the picture yet?
Not in 69. So
Okay.
I started when I was 14. So be figuring up what year that was there, if you would. And
you started in the company when you were 14.
Part-time.
Oh,
yes.
really? So that's how you met your wife?
In Logansport's where I started.
Okay.
At the Logansport location. So yes, my parents came out of Shreveport, moved me to the edge of the earth in a little community called Shiloh. So I
God's
finished,
country.
God's country.
Oh, it is now. So we finished going to school in Logansport.
Yeah.
And my wife and her family moved to Logansport too.
Okay.
And then
And so did you start working for the store first?
Yes.
And then you met
No.
You knew her from...
Yeah, so the story is that her father got tired of stacking lumber at night after they closed the store. And so by then, we were kind of boyfriend, girlfriend.
This would have been, what, 8th grade, 9th grade?
Probably 9th grade, yeah.
Okay.
So
you have a few years before you start looking around for the employees for maybe your future son-in-law.
That's right. That's right. I need to go ahead and have that application online.
There you go.
So anyway, after he saw that he told Pam, my wife, said,
Yep.
ask your boyfriend if he needs a job. And so I thought, what a great combination. Paycheck, I can be around my girlfriend.
Yeah, because she's out in the yard too, right?
Oh, yeah, we work together.
And you're flexing those muscles, picking up lumber, being like, hey, look at this. Look what I can do. Yeah, take that, Terry.
Trying to put it on, trying to make that best show. And so, here we are. We've
So let's not skip that far. I got a lot of questions.
Okay.
So you start at 14. You graduate high school.
Yes.
You go to college or you stay around?
I tried college a little bit, but by that time I'd made up my mind. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to get married, and I wanted to work in the lumber
Sell
business.
lumber.
Yep.
There you go. And so that's what you did.
I did. College, it was like a distraction for me.
Yeah. And so you get married what year? What year did you get married? 1980.
79?
Sometime.
Yes.
Yeah, sometime around then.
We're gonna stick with
you're born in 80.
See, I was born in 80.
Okay.
Right? So we're trying to do some math here. Wait a minute.
So let me rethink that. Let me rethink that.
This is great.
So 79.
Let's say that.
roll
Yeah, let's say
back
that.
a year.
Yeah. It's give or take 5 years. You're good. You're
Yeah.
good. The first 20 years you got to know. After 20 years of marriage, give or take 5 years.
That's right.
That's my
I
philosophy.
would kind of filter that statement, but
Okay.
in theory, yes.
Okay.
But
So you get married. There had to be a change of the guard between your father-in-law and you, and I don't know if this is right, but he died earlier than expected.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay. And so it wasn't a planned transition at that point.
no, it was not. He passed away at 50.
Okay.
51. There was another partner in Dallas that was active, also a part ownership.
And at that time, there were 3 Ivey Lumbers in Dallas.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. Owned by cousin Roy.
Roy Ivey and his brothers.
Okay.
And as the yard, they started passing away, and so the yard started transitioning there.
Okay.
But he had ownership 51%, and then Pam and I wound up buying out his part, and then buying out the rest. So
Whatever happened with the yards in Dallas?
they transitioned. There was one. Well, there's still one
There's
active
one yard
today.
left.
Wow.
Yeah, on Plain Road.
Called Ivey's.
Called Ivey Lumber.
Yep. Still one there.
Is it still owned by family or?
It is.
It's owned by Roy's
Brothers. Daughter.
Okay. Yeah. So Carla Ivey.
There you go.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah. But Ivey, during that time, the transition, because that's the thing that I'm always the most curious about. Obviously you've got my grandfather who, if I'm going to tell this hopefully correctly, but I've heard from others that his vision was to really have a lot of the stores, that he wanted to spread and grow, expand. Now, is that about right or not?
Yeah, he was very interested in that, and then he loved construction too. So he had a little construction company,
Gotcha.
that he was, working at the same time, and so. But the Lord had other plans, and so.
Yep. And so when he passed away, is your wife the only child?
No, there are 2 other daughters.
Okay.
One daughter, Amy, was active in the business too, but she went and to do other things, and then so it's Pam and myself.
Yeah. Nobody wanted to keep selling lumber.
I guess
Except for
not.
you.
I guess
Yeah.
not. And so
Okay. So you take over. How old were you at the time?
when he passed away, I think I had just turned 30.
Okay. And had you been doing any? Have you been doing any managerial stuff? Like, were you kind of in a leadership position at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, he was trying to move more and more into the construction side
Okay.
of things, and so.
So you were heavy in the operations.
Yes.
Okay. What would be early on taking over the business at 30 years old? Can you think back to maybe what was your biggest challenge?
Being young and just trying to work and mesh with employees, older.
Because they were probably very loyal to your father-in-law, right?
Yes.
And he had probably hired them, and they had been there a while.
Yeah,
And
I've been along with the ride too. Coming from the 14 years old up to that point too.
So he's a 20-year employee at that point,
Yeah.
right?
So, exactly.
Well, I think that some people just don't like change, right?
They don't. But that part of it, as far as challenges and all, just looking back, is that some of the things is you tend to get kind of boxed in, what you're doing. And again, firefighter, the problem with the firefighter is that you eventually start looking for fires, because that's what fuels you, right? And so then you get kind of tunnel vision, you get boxed in. And so, but then, every day you're just going. And instead of, planning and doing the things to grow the business, get outside of the business, and
used to work on the business instead of in it.
Exactly.
So how do you fight that, right? Because I think that's an easy way. And of course, hopefully our audience is business owners or managers. I think it's really just family and friends. But eventually somebody will come back and listen that might benefit. But the firefighter, because I agree with this, right? So in my business, I call it the whirlwind, right? I don't want my team members stuck in the whirlwind of just chaos every single day. So what do you do? What would be some advice on people in their 30s or 40s to avoid getting in that trap?
Well, I think that, and it's hard to do because, again, when you're small business, small and family run,
there's always going to be fires, right? There's no way to get around it.
Absolutely. Now, can we control some of the fires? You can if you can get outside of the business, So there's this balance, and that word's huge. We'll probably come back to that word again, but it's just making that time, instead of turning the key on the door every morning and then turning it at night and going home and then trying to get away. Obviously family's got to be a big part of, what we do. Yep. And so it's, I see that's an issue, for me. Yeah.
Well, it's very cliche to say this phrase, but I say it all the time, is that it's very easy for your business to run you instead of you run your business.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's because it is a balance, right? Because you're thinking, well, I got to put food on the table. I have employees. I have to keep the revenue coming in. But at the same time, there are changes that need to be made, right? And then you're just like, well, how does it, and so some people just give up, right? It's that's what most people do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But to your question though, back, the Bible, okay, to me and what we do here, the Bible is core. God is core.
Okay.
And Scripture tells us that in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. So what does that mean? It means that if I can get outside that box and I can seek counsel from those people that are really knocking it out of the park, that's huge. So anybody that's growing, I would tell them to take that time, pull over, seek the people that are up here, that you may want to grow too. That was one of the biggest things when we took on from that store right there to Halton. In business that they tell you that from going from 1 to 2 locations is a big step. Actually, easier to go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 probably than it is from 1 to 2. I see that now. We've experienced that.
Yep.
So when we got to that point, and Josh and his brother Jordan, I felt like my role was to get the boys to another platform. So Halton location, the second location, was that platform. Now it's how do we make this thing work? Yep. I realize that I cannot take, the things that I experienced and equip the boys and our team members. So then it's like, what do we do? Well, in the multitude of counselors, So I told the boys, we need to find lumber yards that will allow us to come in,
Yep.
sit underneath their training. And we had some that were real gracious right up front that allowed us to come in, spend a day with them. Truly amazing to see. And that started opening up a whole new world. Now, you know, he's on a board of a round table.
Yep.
You know, and you guys are networking with other people
sure.
and coaches and things. And so I would just say that's huge.
Yep.
You know, that's huge.
So the timeline, though, from
Yeah.
the Halton store, which was 2014, to 1986 or 7, when you assumed leadership of the company, there's a lot of time in
30
between.
years,
Yeah,
roughly.
right. What were you doing?
Well, you had 2 boys.
Right.
You were trying to raise, right?
We were running two baseball games. We were
Yeah.
running a basketball game.
Yeah,
We were,
yeah. Do you remember any of the big showdowns between me and Josh in high school? Do you remember any of
Oh,
those?
yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some,
Yeah, absolutely.
some barn burners is what we would call them, you
Yeah.
know, down to the wire.
You know, just little things in life.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep
yeah.
up.
I mean, I've
You
heard
know,
stories of one of them falling out of a window or jumping out of a window. Am I recalling that right?
That was a cousin who fell out
Okay, a
of the
cousin.
top,
Okay.
Yeah.
top
Okay.
floor.
So not even to mention the cousins, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
it's a lot.
Yeah, but it's you know, you just you keep on going every day, you
Yeah.
know, and just trying to really without the vision of growth. Your growth was what walks through that front door every day. That
Yeah.
was the only growth mindset that I had. Can we
Yeah.
take care of my mind when I was in, you know, working out in the yard at 14, college, the reason why it didn't appeal to me is because I thought, you know what, if we can just take care of the customers better than the next competitor, we should win.
Sure.
Now, a little bit harder to do.
There's more competition now.
Oh,
There's so
before
much-
Home Depot, before
Yeah,
Lowe's,
yeah.
before
Yeah.
these massive guys.
Yeah,
come
yeah,
through.
yeah, and that's right. And I always say that too, right? Is because if our battlefield is the price, then we're always going to lose, right? You're a
Exactly.
commodity.
Exactly.
It has to be the intangible that you win on, and that's really what it seems like you guys have, for 50, 60 years, have utilized. Is that, you know, the foundation is the customer comes first, customer service, taking care of them. They're going to come back.
Well, you learn a
fur
lot
friend.
along the way. And again, that word balance, you know, you learn that you've got to have more than just, great customer service, but the customers' expectations, their needs change
Yeah.
with generations.
Yeah, well, and it's time to let some customers go at sometimes,
Hey,
right?
absolutely.
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 So let me ask you this, because this is another thing that I see a lot of in small businesses. You and your wife, she was an active part of the business.
Still is.
Still is.
Yep.
And so how do you find that? Because, you know, my wife decided to help me for about a year. It just wasn't it just didn't work out that way for us.
I could do a whole podcast
Okay.
about this, by the way. We'll table that.
So what how do you find that? I mean, was that when does work stop and family start, you know?
And it's okay if the answer is aspirational.
Or it doesn't, right?
You know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Now I try to be real selective on what topic to broach, you know, when to talk about
Sure,
it
sure.
at home.
Sure.
And that's gains you a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
You seem like a man torn.
Yeah, because it's still a real, you know, I have a lot of people through the years that ask me, you know, about Pam and myself working together. How do y'all do that? We've done it for all these years, you know, and you're still, both of you are still alive.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, we just always have done it, and it's always been a part of us, and just the understanding that, you know, this is what we do.
Sure.
And then scripturally, that's our balancing board right there, you know,
Sure.
because again, you know, that's
tough.
probably the glue.
There's no easy answer, right?
It's not.
like, because you are, you know, leading a company, you're also a husband, a father, you're all these things. Well, then you throw in the fact that your boys also work with you.
Right.
Right. And so then, you know, when it's Christmas gathering, you probably don't want to bring up a failed business initiative, right? Mm-hmm. So it's always tricky.
And to be extremely clear, as you mentioned on one of our earlier podcasts, my mother is a forceful personality.
Well,
strong, independent.
Well, first of all, I think we need to circle back and bring her in. Let's get her side of the story here. But I will say the thing I just always think about when I think of your mom doing the invoicing is the scripture verses she puts on the invoice. That's right. Kind of I would say judgmental.
A gentle tug at your heart.
Just a little nudge, yeah. That you don't pay your debtor, you'll suffer the consequences. It's like I was thinking I would see like a inspirational scripture on here,
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you can go New Testament grace or Old Testament fire.
There you go. Yeah. When I saw his Lamentations, I was like, whoa, here we go here. Oh man. So running the business. So now, I would assume that you were just really proud when your boys decided they didn't want the family business, but they wanted to have a rock and roll band.
That was a little setback right there. A little short story. Don't know how much time we have here today, but
if we're talking about Josh and mistakes he's made, let's do it.
Oh well. So here's how that all set up. So go back to, so we moved. One of the boys, we kind of moved out of town to Grand Cane community. They wanted to charge me to bring in a cable line for television. I said, I'm not going to do it. So you boys just go have fun out there, on the property. So they started playing. I kind of tinkered around with the guitar all this time. I started playing, or they started playing rather.
Yeah.
So then I see them out there in the garage, and they started beating and banging. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, these guys will never make it. But they're having a great time.
Hey, they're not fighting.
They're not.
Well, they're having fun. They're not stuck on a TV screen.
Exactly.
Watching MTV.
Right.
Exactly.
So
little did I know that all this was building up within them, But so then fast forward. So Josh goes off to college. He's coming back into the business. And I thought, well.
With a business degree?
With a degree in business administration.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Perfect setup.
Man, I am so
perfect
happy,
setup.
so
You're going to retire in 10 years.
Oh gosh. Here I am today. Look at that. So Zig
Ziglar conference is coming through town.
I went to at the Municipal Auditorium.
I was at a church.
Okay, I went to the one at the Municipal.
So I went.
Turned out to be a big upsell, but whatever.
Way back, I went to one. My father-in-law sent me that. I said, "I tell you what, I want you to go to this. I think it'd really help you, and to prepare you,
Yeah.
So he goes and he comes back, and then I get this phone call when he's driving down the road coming back. I don't know what day it was or how many days that thing lasted, but he said, Dad, I just want to thank you for sending me to this thing. He said, it's just really opened up my mind, my eyes, and I can clearly see now. And I thought, man, praise God, this cat's on fire for lumber, He said, I'm going to start a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And it's like, boy, did that backfire on me.
Did you call Zig up? Did you write him a letter? Hey, thanks a lot.
Refund request.
Pending lawsuit, against Zig on this thing.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, 8 years, he talks his little brother out of going to college and hit the road playing.
He might not have.
Yeah. I mean,
might not have been for him. Ultimately.
So anyway, thankfully they worked, but you know what? I cannot take that away from them.
Yeah.
That experience, and
Sure.
I remember thinking, well, you know what? Go for it.
Yeah.
And we'll just suffer back here on the lumber side, but go ahead and go for it.
Kind of reminds me of That Thing You Do. Remember that movie?
It's hazy.
Okay.
It's hazy.
Well, that's family-run business, but the son just wants to go play drums.
Okay. How did that work out for him?
They were one-hit wonder. And I don't know how it ends. Actually, they need to make a number 2.
No sequel. Okay.
So in between. So let me ask you this. So you come back from your band.
Yes.
Y'all decide you're going to come back in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And
hung up the leather pants.
Yeah.
In the closet.
Yeah. Do they still fit?
That's right. No, they do not.
They don't.
No, they do not.
So hung up the leather pants. That's great. So what year was that?
This would have been 2011 when I'm coming back in.
And was the discussion of the Halton store part of what drew you back in, or was it, hey, I'm coming back, let's see what the next step is because I don't want to run the Mansfield store?
So during that time was really when Mansfield had been experiencing a boom, which, I'm growing up in, say 97, 98, I'm looking around at Mansfield and I'm thinking, you know what, the industry's leaving, smaller town. There's really no economic engine here. I just see the town dying. Like I just kind of see it withering on the vine. And so, so I was a young person that's trying to make their way. There wasn't a lot of appeal of just saying, hey, I'm just going to ride this thing out to the bitter end. I'm not really wired that way to begin with. And so when we came off the road, I lived in Nashville and then Charleston, South Carolina. I was running, helping to manage a Raising Cane's restaurant because I've been in restaurants for a long time. And I would call back home and, we would do like a certain amount of business for the day. And I would ask him, I was like, hey, how's it going? He said, well, we did this. And I was kind of like, what? And so they were doing really, really well. In the Haynesville Shell, there's all these people that had come into town and things were booming. Things were going crazy. So that was happening. I came back in and just right off the bat, with the momentum that was coming from the Haynesville Shell, I mean, obviously, we would love another location. And so started talking about and thinking about what it would take to do that. We didn't know. But to his point, we went and sought out a few other lumber yards that were multi-location, and we started having conversations that led to things like changing our point of sale system to get ready for that and just policies, procedures, process, what's it going to take to be multi-location? And through those, I think we went to one place in Texas, one place in Oklahoma. We got connected with the Round Table. And as we were looking at a place in Shreveport, really, off of maybe Uri or something. I'm trying to think, a little warehouse that we said, well, we'd be able to ship lumber out of this little warehouse. And he and sales rep were riding around in Halton because we had a little customer base in Halton, in Forest Hills, really. We were shipping materials into Forest Hills. And he just made the comment of, hey, there's no hardware store here. And so started looking for land.
Yeah. So I would imagine coming from Nashville, Charleston, both great cities.
Absolutely. Moving
back home.
Yes.
Real exciting, huh?
Yeah, well, and my wife wouldn't even agree to it.
Yeah,
so we had to I lived the first year in Jackson, where she's from.
Huh? Okay. Oh, she only came back halfway.
She only came back to Mississippi, and so I would drive to Mansfield every week to work, and then drive home to Mississippi on the weekends.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so that was the first year.
Yeah.
And then
that's probably around the time, because we have two kids at the same age, same grade.
Right.
Probably about the same time she was pregnant or about to be. Baby on the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was maybe a year or two after. But once we decided to do the second location, then I convinced her to say, listen, we don't have to move back to Mansfield. We can move to Bossier.
There you go.
And so at that point, she really, again, it wasn't exactly the easiest move, but to basically say, hey, we can live in Bossier. We'll work out of this store. That was a little bit more appealing to her than moving back to Mansfield or the country. Listen, she's from, she's from Jackson, Madison.
Yeah. And now where do you live?
In the country.
Hey, it just took 10 years.
It just
to
took
get her
a little
there.
time.
It took a little time.
But she wasn't at that time. She wasn't ready to move out to the middle of nowhere.
Hey, who wants to grow up, and have a family?
No TV. It's like, hey,
no TV.
Here's a guitar.
Yeah. She's like, so I'm going to have to go run this cable wire myself. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. So we did finally get there.
Okay.
And then that would have been 2013, 2014. Yes, you're right. Kids on the way. Building the new store. Got the new store up and going. It's been really rewarding. It was a lot of work.
So it's been 10 years?
10 years on that store.
What month did it open up in 2014?
February.
February. Okay.
It was cold.
So 10 years.
That's right. So a lot of work went into that location. Still goes into that location. That's turned into be a good store for us, because there's a great customer mix of people that live right around there, moved into Halton, moved into Bossier. And then we're able to send materials out for
Yep.
the new home construction.
Yep.
So that store has been a great store for us. It's given us a lot of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess 5 years ago or so, we're driving around and going, hey, what would be next?
Mm-hmm. So we end up here at Blanchard. I-49 came through. I would imagine that's kind of like one of the big factors for you guys is that there's not another competitor either there or coming in, right?
Well, we hope, right?
Yeah. So, but I know that was for a long time. You're like, I really like Blanchard, but then I think at one time it was like, well, maybe Tractor Supply might have
Home
a
Depot,
contract
right.
on some land.
Right.
Yeah, Home Depot might have a first right of something because Walmart came in, and you're like,
Right.
So
and it's never without risk, but for us, we don't have 40 stores.
Yeah.
It's not like we can just lose a few and who cares?
Sure.
I mean, it's
Sure.
still for us an existential issue.
Yep.
We
Yep.
need all the stores
Yep.
To be working and,
Yep.
and profitable.
Yep.
So it's a huge risk.
Yeah.
I would say. But what do you think about so far at first week? What's your impression?
yeah, we're day 4, day 5, day 4. They open
Day
Monday.
4. Today's day 4. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I like it.
First impressions. It's interesting to compare the two. Of course, one opened in the dead of winter.
Yeah.
So, of course, this one's opening right in
In
the,
hurricane
tsunami season, which is really unusual. But first impression has been really encouraging. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody that comes in is so thankful that we're here.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You don't know how tired I am of having to go in and cross the bridge. And
Yeah.
so that's been, even during construction, it's been like that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of good positive
I've heard the
feedback.
same thing. Yeah.
So, that really keeps us going because, obviously my issue is that I had to abandon it. The price tag of the Halton store, this is basically similar to Halton store.
And
a little bit more.
How much was the cost compared to the Halton store?
Oh,
Triple?
Double.
Double?
Yeah.
In 10
It's
years?
like going to those tapas restaurants, little plate, big price.
Big price.
That's right. That's
Big
where we
price.
are today in
That's right.
construction.
So, but I would say this, and this is what, just hearing your story and thinking of just the early days in Mansfield and the core values, I guess, with the company and being like a really small town feel where you probably know most of the people that come through the store in Mansfield is that the Halton location and this Blanchard location kind of feed into that same feel, right? Because the Blanchard community is tight knit. Kind of always, I used to always say, because I used to teach school at Donnie Bickham, and I used to say, this is really one of the last little pockets in the Shreveport area where you can go to elementary, middle school, and high school all in the same little radius,
Yeah.
And then Halton probably the same thing, and so it kind of feeds into this core value y'all have of a
And
small
we're
town
used to
feel.
a community,
Yeah.
that community feel. That's who we are, And so, this area here, we're real excited to be here now, and to be a part of this community and to join in with them, and to bring, any value that we can, to the community, to a new set of team members, and so it's real. But this a little bit different because the people here are just really appreciative, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
So where can we go with that?
Yeah. Well, do you ever see yourself retiring?
No.
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 It's funny because I go through, I have a business coach, and I'm like, all right, I have this 10-year plan, and this is what I'm going to do. And then the more I think of it, I'm like, well, what am I going to do when I retire?
Professional podcaster, I think, is
there you go.
certainly
Going
on the
on
table
tour,
at this
arenas.
point. That's right. We're back on the road. Hey, look, I still got the leather pants, buddy.
Hey,
we will break them
I will
out.
get matching leather
Okay.
pants.
Ooh.
So probably not. You think that maybe you'll just kind of ease into less and less of a role in operations.
Yes. So back to some of our original conversation here today, that was some of the challenges for me to get him to understand, that I love what I do, but it is a little bit less of what I used to do back then, So, as things kind of evolve. So, and I like that, I like that. So
yeah. Well, look, I have my oldest son is 15, and I get happy when I see him like pick up his shoes, right? So you have to be proud of seeing Josh and Jordan and what they've accomplished. And
absolutely, no question about it. They work hard. We work well together, and I'm very proud of them.
Yeah.
They are Great guys.
I'll say this, as through exposure to the other lumberyards, through the roundtable programs and other co-ops and things that we're a part of, you see a lot of family relationship dynamic that goes really sideways.
Oh, yeah.
And it's part of the issue of why it's so hard for generational transfer to really work is that it just sometimes can be so hard to work from generation to generation. One son's got a totally different vision than the father, or just vice versa. The father never really fostered the child to let them grow, to give them the space to grow, and
to let them start a rock and roll band.
To let them start the rock band.
There you go.
But to his credit, and listen, I could say a million great things about the guy, but to his credit, I think he's always been very open with me in terms of, if you have an idea, let's hear it, let's talk about it. I did go to the Zig Ziglar conference, so he kind of looks to me as an expert. But he's been very open with myself and my brother,
sure,
who's now no longer part of the business, by the way. But in terms of what do we see, what is our vision, and how can he help come alongside that?
Sure.
And when you have that, it makes it so much easier to. I'm not begging him to get out the door. I'm not saying, hey man, listen, you got to go. There are those situations where the next generation just cannot wait to take over and get them out.
Oh yeah, I've watched that show on HBO. What was that one? The
Succession.
Oh yeah. Oh hey. Yeah. So no, you don't want to be the dad where all your kids are waiting for you to die. That's not a good place to be, right?
Right.
But yeah, no. And I would think back too, and you alluded to it earlier, and just knowing your family, I would imagine that building, parenting and building the business on biblical principles helps the foundation, right? That it's not a business that's all just driven by the bottom line and the revenue, and that's not really the measuring stick, right? And because when that becomes the measuring stick, then it doesn't matter who you offend, who you screw over. It is all about the revenue, right?
Correct. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and truthfully, I was thinking ahead since I had no script for today.
Yeah, no script.
That what guiding principles and things, and again for us, in our approach to business, to life, to family, it's got the glue is God, and His thoughts. I was thinking about different things, different management style books. Today, psychology of how to manage people and this and that, and they won't say it, but they'll come out, or if they would be truthful, it's like just treat others like you'd want to be treated.
Sure.
But they try to spin it, but really that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Business decisions, what location, what, one other thing for younger business owners to come on side is first and foremost make sure that you have that relationship with God through Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, then is just bring God into the business. Pray about these things. People say, man, these decisions, location for Halt, Mitch, that was great. I look up and it's like, how did that happen? But I know it's like, Lord, do you want us there? This, all kind of issues in business, and I just encourage, God's got a way of doing things that we just have no clue about. We may think we do.
Yeah.
His ways are higher than our ways. So, that I would just encourage that to be a part of business.
Well,
too.
and that's true freedom, right? Is that I'm not bound to my own abilities and actions, that there is a plan that, and our culture says it's something different, is that freedom is being able to do whatever you want.
Right.
But through a biblical lens is that the freedom comes in knowing that he already has a plan, and we follow his guidance.
And there's freedom in that.
Yeah.
Right? And peace and everything else that comes through. Doesn't mean that everything's just going to be rosy.
No.
Because, in business, there are definite challenges.
Sure.
And, but it just is so, the peace of like, well, Lord, I'm asking you about it. Now, I may outrun you, or I may fall behind, but I've asked you about it. And and God has a way of just kind of nudging us sometimes when we don't even know which direction to go.
I want to give a quick shout out to Brother Kenny, who gave me an all-timer quote. If it's the Lord's will, it's the Lord's bill.
Yes, I've heard that one. We hope it's the Lord's will with this one, right?
We got a
'Cause
nice
we got
bill.
a big bill.
We got a nice bill coming your way. Just be on the lookout. Nice bill coming your way.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else we want to cover?
Listen, I want to thank you for being part
Thanks,
of the
Mitch.
podcast.
Yes.
Great dad. I got a great dad. I got a great mom.
Yep.
I got a great brother. I'm so thankful that I get to do, Taylor said on our podcast, she was thankful to get to spend time with her dad. It's the same for me.
Yep.
We spend time, we go back and forth, he's got ideas. He's got so many ideas. I get to hear about so many ideas every day. Keeps me on my toes.
Yes,
but ultimately, very thankful for you and the example you've set. And
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
this is great. This is part of your legacy.
Absolutely.
So that's
Cool.
it.
I like it. Do we have any shout outs we need to give? I did have someone stop me. Actually, two people have stopped me this week about listening to our podcast and how much they like it. Both of them are actually managers for me in different companies.
Okay.
Chris Canatella.
Yes.
Great guy. And he's a man, just always wants to have fun, have a good time. And he said, "Hey, send me the link for that Primal Questions. That was good stuff. I want to know what mine is." Yeah, so that was good. And then Wanda Girton, she's runs Berkshire Hathaway. She said that she's been listening. So I want to give them a shout out. Any of our listeners, we want to give them a shout out.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
How about a local business? Can we get a local business in there?
Local business. Let me think of what local businesses I've used this week. What are you thinking? We always default to restaurants, which is not very great. That just means.
Well, how about look? So we got him here.
Yeah.
When you think about a local business, listen, you can buy everything online just about now.
Yes.
I find myself when I need sporting apparel, and he's a very active, middle-aged guy, and so as a very active adult, when you need to find sporting apparel, sporting goods, you like to ride your bike. Is there any place in town that you like to go for your sporting goods needs from a local business standpoint?
Sports Spectrum is always a really good place.
Yeah.
Local.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would shout out to Hagos. You know Hagos? He runs Sage Easter Sun. Yeah. He works there.
He works there.
Yeah, go
Great.
find him.
Yeah,
he's fit me with some shoes. They don't really like to carry a lot of 14 and 15s. As you would imagine, that inventory might sit a while,
turn. It's
right?
a slow return.
Yeah, slow return there. It might go out of style before someone comes in to buy it.
Yeah.
But I have bought some there. It is a great company.
Yeah.
It's a great place to shop.
Yes.
So shout
Yes.
out to Sports Spectrum.
Yeah.